All right, let's dive straight into the massive announcements from Google I/O 2026. Now, if you follow AI, you know this event is always a major milestone, usually just packed with standard model updates and fun new features. But this year, well, this year felt entirely different. It wasn't just a parade of generic benchmarks. Instead, Google laid out one singular, incredibly cohesive vision that might honestly change how we interact with computers forever. Just imagine waking up and realizing your computer actually did half your job for you while you were asleep. So we're kicking things off with a pretty provocative question, because the central thesis this year from Sundar Pichai is that the whole industry is fundamentally shifting away from just chatting with models. I mean, think about it. For the last couple of years, we've been completely conditioned to type into a little prompt box, wait for some text to generate, and then we manually take that information and act on it ourselves. You ask for an outline, you get an outline, but you still have to go write the document. What Google just laid out is the framework for software that doesn't just give you an answer. It actually rolls up its sleeves and completes the work for you. It's a really stark contrast between the old era of software and where we are heading today. In the old era, a conversational chatbot was essentially just a really, really good planner. It could give you a brilliant outline for a complex coding project or a slick marketing campaign. But in this new era of autonomous agents, the software actually acts, plans, and verifies its own work. It can create the outline, open the relevant files on your local machine, execute the actual code, verify that it runs, and completely correct itself if it hits an error. We're basically moving from having a really smart advisor to having a digital employee. And that is a massive, massive leap in capability. Here is exactly how we're going to break down this explainer today. First, welcome to the agent era. Second, the engine, Gemini 3.5 Flash. Third, the Antigravity 2.0 workspace. Fourth, Gemini Omni video creation. And finally, number 5, the economics of AI agents. Okay, part 1. Welcome to the agent era, a paradigm shift. Moving right along to part 2, the engine, Gemini 3.5 Flash. To really understand how we actually get to this agent era, we have to look under the hood at the engine powering the whole thing. It turns out the cheaper 3.5 Flash model is actually outperforming the previous heavyweight flagship 3.1 Pro. Take a look at Terminal Bench 2.1, which is essentially a measure of an AI's ability to actually code inside a computer's terminal. Flash hits an impressive 76.2%. Or MCP Atlas, which tracks complex multi-step workflows. It's even beating out frontier competitors in OS World. And if you're not familiar, you can think of OS World like a test to see if the AI can navigate a computer's interface. You know, clicking buttons, dragging windows, finding files, just like a real human would. This is the underlying model that runs the entire ecosystem now, right from the rebuilt AI mode in search all the way down to the personal agents living inside your Gemini app. But look, capability means absolutely nothing without speed. 3.5 Flash achieves roughly 4 times the output speed of older models. We are talking about clocking in at around 289 tokens per second. It also hits a massive 1656 ELO rating on GDVval AA, which basically translates to real-world economic value and reliability that are just off the charts. Now, why does all this raw speed actually matter to you? Well, if your agent has to plan out a task, search the live web, write the code, and then verify its own work, it is making dozens of background calls to the model. At 289 tokens a second, that entire complex agentic loop happens so incredibly fast that it actually saves you time in the real world. It basically takes the entire concept of background automation and makes it super practical for everyday knowledge work. Section 3. Antigravity 2.0 Workspace. So if Gemini 3.5 Flash is the engine, Antigravity 2.0 is the headquarters, where these autonomous agents actually live and breathe. It's a standalone desktop app that lets you orchestrate really complex tasks using parallel, asynchronous subagents rather than just chatting back and forth in a single browser window. What is super fascinating here is how they deliberately decoupled this from traditional coding environments. Antigravity operates like a true command center. You have dynamic subagents handling highly focused subtasks so the main agent never gets overwhelmed. You've got JSON hooks to easily connect with your existing databases or external APIs. You can even set up scheduled tasks to run completely in the background while you go grab a coffee. It gives you visual artifacts too, like really high-fidelity reports of code diffs or even browser recordings, so you can quickly verify the agent's work with just a glance. Oh, and it includes native voice transcription that listens live. Now, controlling this workspace is shockingly intuitive. It all runs through a system of really simple / commands. Imagine you're starting a massive project. First, you type /grillme. That forces the AI to start asking you questions to ensure your plans are perfectly aligned before it ever writes a single line of code. Once you're fully aligned, you just hit it with /goal. That tells the agent to run the task completely in the background without needing you to hold its hand at every step. You can set up recurring automations with /schedule or explicitly tell it to go browse the live web with /browser. You've basically just gone from being a typist to being a manager of software. All right, let's jump to section 4, Gemini Omni video creation. Let's shift gears for a second away from coding and text and get into media. As Dimas Hassabis put it, their goal is to create anything from any input, starting with video. This is Gemini Omni. It's a generative video-first model that accepts text, images, audio, and video, all to output completely grounded, editable media. Dimas Hassabis presented this not just as some fun new video toy, but as a total fusion of Gemini's core reasoning capabilities mixed with the crazy generative power of VO technology. And because it's built directly into the Gemini app, your inputs can be incredibly diverse. It could be a voice note you recorded on a walk, a rough napkin sketch, or an existing video clip right on your phone. The output? High-quality video grounded in actual real-world knowledge. The really cool part is that it's a multi-turn process. Every instruction builds on the last one, and it maintains perfect character consistency while you completely transform the world around them. So imagine you start with a simple prompt of a violinist playing a song. Instead of reprompting from scratch just because you want to change the background, you just use natural language to swap the environment. Maybe you place her in a grand concert hall or a rainy cyberpunk alley. Then, maybe you want to get a bit creative, so you ask it to make the violin itself invisible while the character keeps flawlessly playing the air violin. Finally, you just tell it to shift the camera angle to look right over her shoulder. The model remembers everything that came before, and the physics absolutely hold up. It's essentially giving you a Hollywood director's chair through pure, natural conversation. And lastly, Section 5, the economics of AI agents. Okay, let's bring this all back down to earth and talk about the real-world economics. When you compare the costs between the free and paid tiers, the math for Gemini 3.5 Flash fundamentally changes the game. At just $1.50 per 1 million input tokens on the paid tier, affordability is literally no longer a bottleneck. An agent might need to read an entire codebase, search Google Maps, and iterate multiple times over a span of minutes just to solve one problem. If the underlying model is expensive, that kind of autonomous loop is just way too costly to run at scale. But because Flash is so capable and so cheap, running fleets of parallel subagents in Antigravity or using continuous background information agents finally makes economic sense for everyday developers and enterprises. To support this, Google is officially shifting to a compute-used model that refreshes roughly every 5 hours, kind of like the new $100 per month AI Ultra plan. Honestly, this is a massive tell about where the entire industry is headed. They aren't sitting there counting how many individual messages you send anymore. Instead, they are looking at how much compute your agents are consuming to do heavy lifting in the background. Think about it. If you want an AI to read an 80-page PDF research paper, chunk it into sections, outline it, verify it against external sources, and then generate a highly structured 60-slide presentation, that requires serious, sustained compute. This new pricing structure is specifically designed to support that exact type of heavy agentic workflow. So I want to leave you with this final thought. The question is no longer whether AI can do the work, it's which of your workflows are you going to hand over first. Whether it's managing unstructured assets, executing multi-step coding workflows in Antigravity, or having it generate sophisticated presentations from massive documents while you go grab lunch, the infrastructure is officially here, and it is incredibly fast. So if your software is now fully capable of doing your job, what are you going to choose to do with all your new free time? Thanks so much for joining me to explore the dawn of the agent era, and I'll catch you in the next